I recorded everything I spent over 2 of my Japan trips in 2025 to show you how expensive things are as a tourist. I've divided them into categories, I've done averages, I've made charts to help you decide how much money you might need in Japan. Today we're looking at food, a very important subject. There'll also be videos about transport and admission fees. They'll be coming out tomorrow and Friday. They'll all be in a playlist on my channel called How Expensive is Japan, and in the last video I'll include the totals and the average we spent per day. So looking at the total of what we spent, this doesn't include flights or hotels, it's what we spent when we were in Japan. Food made up 56% of the total spend. The average was 5,474 yen per person per day, which I think is actually pretty reasonable. Now, everyone has a different style of traveling. If you watch my videos, you'll know the sorts of places we go. We don't go to particularly fancy places. We love things like conveyor belt sushi, which is pretty cheap. In Japan, you don't have to go to expensive, fancy restaurants to have excellent food. The standard is so good, pretty much everywhere. I've honestly only ever had 1 or 2 meals that I wasn't happy with. You also don't have to stick to recommended places. Just pop in anywhere you like the look of. The standard is excellent pretty much across the board. So what's included in that average spend per day? First is breakfast, and you can watch my video from last week to see what sort of thing we have. Then there's lunch. We used to go for just a small lunch of convenience store snacks, but these days we tend to go for more of a proper meal like ramen, because the amount of meal times you have during your Japan trip is limited, so you need to make the most of every one. At dinner we'll usually get an alcoholic drink. It also includes snacks like ice cream or this delicious local that's pudding from Enoshima, and vending machine drinks to stay hydrated, which are about 150 yen each. In the evening we tend to get drinks or snacks from the convenience store to take back to our hotel, usually a beer and a chuhai, that's shochu and fruit soda, and maybe some chocolate or biscuits, and maybe a soft drink. So which of these do you think was the most expensive meal? It was actually at a shabu shabu restaurant, which is hot pot that you cook yourself at the table. It's really fun. We went with our friends and we got the tabe hodai and nomi hodai, which is all you can eat and all you can drink, for 5,896 yen per person, which is more than we usually spend on meals in Japan. We don't normally get the nomi hodai. Our friends are a bad influence. But actually, compared to how much you pay for a restaurant meal in the UK these days, it's actually a similar amount. And in the UK, that definitely wouldn't include unlimited drinks. One of these trips was just to Tokyo, and the other one was to Tokyo and Gifu, staying in Takayama. I noticed the meals in Takayama were slightly more expensive, but they were the best meals of the trip, so it was totally worth it. It was 4,000 yen per person for this meal, with several courses, including a small dessert and an alcoholic drink. I really loved these starters we had to share, and everything was so good. It was a really small, friendly, family-run place. Such a good experience. The next most expensive was also in Takayama, 3,910 yen per person for hoba miso, or what I like to call beef on a leaf, a local speciality with the local high quality wagyu beef, or tofu for me, cooked in local miso at your table. We had several side dishes and alcohol, and it was so good, completely worth it, and not even that expensive compared to restaurants in the UK. Both of them are in my video in my Takayama playlist. I think we might have paid slightly more for both of them because they were in a touristy location near the old town, but they were in no way a tourist trap or a rip-off. Both the food and the experience were excellent, and I am happy with what we paid. In general, Japan isn't the sort of place to rip you off. You see a lot of things online, particularly recently, about different prices for tourists, but that isn't really something I've come across. In general, the culture is very honest, and as I said, in 15 years of travelling to Japan, I've honestly only ever had 1 or 2 meals I wasn't happy with. One was at Omoide Yokocho, that's Memory Lane in Shinjuku in Tokyo. It is kind of touristy there these days. We picked an izakaya with yakitori that we like the look of, but then we got taken upstairs and the food was kind of meh. It wasn't that great. And really, I am struggling to think of any others at this point. On to the cheapest meals. I'll put the prices on the screen so I'm not bombarding you with numbers. I had a cheap lunch at Hanamaru Udon, a chain restaurant. I was on my own for this one while Phil was at Tokyo Game Show for work. I had a bowl of udon noodles, a side of tempura and a drink, and it was so cheap. It was even prepared fresh. I had to wait while they made it. I love the name of this dish, kamatama udon. It's hot udon noodles mixed with raw egg and soy sauce. It seemed like such a comfort food. The next cheapest meal was lunch at Moss Burger, my favourite fast food chain. The portions are quite small, but they have coffee milkshake, and I really like their teriyaki burger. Surprisingly, the next cheapest meal was this tofu restaurant in Takayama. It was worth way more than we paid. It was so good. These really sweet old ladies made all these little dishes. Even I was hesitant about having so much tofu in one meal, but it was a real experience trying all the different textures and marinades. That's also in my Takayama food video. Here are some other examples of restaurant prices. Conveyor belt sushi is really fun. You've got to try it. Here's what we've paid on different occasions. Usually we go to Kura Sushi or Sushiro, which are both cheap chains that you find everywhere. During this trip, we also went to one that wasn't Kura or Sushiro, which turned out to be a little bit more expensive, but don't let that put you off trying any random sushi bar you come across. This is how much we spend at Coco Curry, which is also always a must visit. And ramen at Ippudo is this much. You can get ramen for less, but as a vegetarian, I am kind of limited about where I can go. Okonomiyaki is my favourite Japanese food. It's shredded cabbage cooked in batter, which doesn't sound that appealing, but the sauce is so tasty. This other time we splashed out on some extra side dishes, so that cost a bit more. These soba noodles and tempura were in a tiny village on the Nakasendo Trail. It's quite a remote location and a very picturesque touristy place. There's a video on my channel. You can go as a day trip from Nagoya. This lunch was in Atami on a day trip to the seaside. Phil had a seafood rice bowl with a big miso soup. They didn't have any veggie options, so I had chips and this tamago rolled egg omelette. Thank goodness my friends were there to help me out with that. There's no way I could have eaten the whole thing myself. Finally, snacks are important, so I'll just mention a few. Ice creams are about 500 yen each. I loved this blue seal ice cream. I'm really looking forward to trying more flavours on my trip to Okinawa later this year. Popcorn at Tokyo Disney is 400 yen. Look out for different flavours in carts around the parks. We got curry flavour this time, which was so good. I also love the honey flavour, which you can find outside Pooh's Honey Hunt in Fantasyland. Doriyaki, that's little pancakes with filling, in Harajuku was 800 yen. I did pay more than average for that because it has cute Tamagotchi characters on. These delicious cakes are from my favourite cake shop, Cozy Corner. If you go to their Ginza branch, you can eat in. We had 2 cakes and 2 drinks. Usually I get their strawberry shortcake, but recently I've been trying out their Mont Blancs, which are chestnut flavour. The last one I had was a bit sickly, but most of their cakes are really light and fluffy. I hope that explains how expensive food is in Japan. I'm sure other people might spend a bit more or a bit less, depending on your style of travelling, but I've tried to explain the sorts of things we have to give you a general idea. My Japan guidebook has pages to help you plan your budget. It's more practical than a regular guidebook. It's not just things to do, it's got checklists and help with booking everything. You can get it from cakeswithfaces.co.uk and I ship worldwide. Tomorrow I'll be going through how much I spent on trains and transport, and there are new Japan videos on my channel every Thursday. I'll see you then.